Hello traders, this is your stock market watch list for August 22nd. We are looking at swing trading stocks that match the contraction patterns or cup and handle patterns. And these are the ones I was primarily looking for this week. And overall market health was in good shape, but we started pulling back this week. Let's see if I got the charts up here. Always do. And we can see, the last few days, and even last week, we were stalling out. We didn't make much progress and started selling off this week. So a little bit of an interesting situation here where with the swing trading stocks, we had a pretty much strong run without too much sideways movement. Had like a week or so here of sideways movement, maybe a little bit more, and then just kept going up. So we haven't had a lot of time for stocks to move up and form these contractions and cup and handles. So I came in this week not expecting too much. When I ran my scan though, I initially had about 20 stocks or so that I had just kind of jotted down some notes on. And I thought, these look interesting. You know, I got, like a few pages of just 5 or so in each column. And so, probably 20 or maybe a little bit more. And I thought, okay, we might have some potential. But as I went through them, they just eliminated themselves. Most of them were 3 weeks patterns where I'm looking for ones that have contracted for at least a month. Not consolidate. We only need a short-term consolidation, but have been contracting, getting that compression coiling up for a month or so, and they just weren't happening. And so that was a little disappointing. You know, I went through 182 stocks on the U.S., 34 stocks on the Canadian side, so it took a bit of time. And then to have a short list of 25 that looked interesting, to narrow it down to basically zero, I ended up with one stock that I already have, ARGX, which in itself, I had to eliminate this candle, which occurred on earnings, which is no problem, because earnings candles, we know, can be big and sometimes might mess with a pattern a little bit, but that's not a huge concern. The rest of the pattern was really nice, and we have moved up since. So overall, nothing wrong with this. I like being in this trade. Almost hit my target up here today. I had a pretty conservative target on this one. And so nothing wrong with this trade, but I already own it. So other than that, I ended up with nothing. So I debated even publishing this article or even doing this video, but at the same time, I think it's good to know that you will sometimes do work with no payoff. And the payoff is that you get to keep your money in your pocket. And that's really something we have to realize as traders, is that if we didn't see anything great, this ultimately came down to this, asking this question. If we don't see anything great, does this setup that I'm looking at, so these 25 that I had here, do these look like high quality patterns that I've traded in the past that I've made money on? And the answer was no. And maybe you don't have a lot of experience trading these patterns, but you can also print off trade examples from the course, and if you go through them and you're meticulous, you'll see that a lot of these patterns don't. So let's just go through some of the ones that I eliminated. There were a ton that looked like ExxonMobil. So ExxonMobil, at a glance, looks really nice. You know, this is a nice little contraction pattern. The only issue I have with it is that we had this sharp run up. So this is the start of the contraction pattern, and we are only into this about 3 weeks. So I like this. If this is still hanging out here in a month, so basically at the end of next week when I run my scan, then I become a lot more interested. Also, the thing that kind of bugged me is this really a pullback? Or is this all just kind of stalling out? What I would really like is to see one bigger pullback and then move back up. And then that makes the pattern much more clear. I found this a bit ambiguous here. Have we actually had a pullback here? Like, we really didn't have any. We had this tiny little red day, kind of a gap down, and then it came right back. So I'd really rather see more of this type of pattern, something like that. Just to make it a little bit more clear for me. So there were a whole bunch like this, MTDR. This one a little bit more ascending, but same thing. We had one bigger pullback, then this tiny pullback, and then we're kind of moving back up. So yeah, didn't love these. Vet, I really like the look of, actually, just because we're sitting right near the highs. So again, nice, we're contracting in there. Getting really squeezed. We're right up near the highs. Consolidation here would be actually quite great. But if we got that, then I'm still looking at a trade likely next week, because this is going to consolidate for a few days. And so this one could potentially be this week. So you could add this one onto the list if you wanted, because we're already right at the highs. So it's Monday when I'm recording this. So we could get a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday consolidation and a breakout on Friday. So this was my favorite one of the energies. And I had about 10 energy stocks. There was a few other ones like VNOM, TRGP, MUR, NOG, to name a few. So there was a lot that had not quite this pattern, but more of the Exxon pattern, where we're starting to climb back up. Vet I liked a little bit more, because we can see the strength here in the last couple days, and we're also right near those highs. So this one, probably the only one that I didn't have on the list, which could be on the list because this could theoretically trigger this week. And then that would put us pretty close to the 1 month, because this one started on the 29th. We had our first drop from that high. So if we went 3-4 days, we'd be out to the 26th, 27th, 23rd, 24th, 25th. So we'd still be under that month, but we're getting pretty close. And this one, overall context is pretty nice. So this one would be one to consider, but it would still be under the 1 month, which is why I left it off the list. So I figured I'll go through all these energy stocks next week and see if they've formed better patterns. So based on the overall conditions, it makes sense that I didn't find much. Like I talked about, we have that vertical rise. We haven't had time to contract much in terms of how most stocks are moving. And I just want to see a little bit more. ACHC, another stock I really like. And same thing. We just have started to contract at the start of August. So we're a couple weeks in. Again, not quite fully formed. We have one down wave. It's questionable where we've had another one. More like just chopping sideways. So again, I'd like to revisit this next week and see if it sets up better. Right now, even though it looks good and it looks like it could pop, it doesn't fit the strategy that I trade. On a related note, maybe you're not interested in only trading contraction patterns, double consolidations, the ones covered in the course, but you're interested in trading stocks that are on the move. And I did create a list more for those people who are looking to trade pullbacks and the moves back up. And I do have strategies for that, so eventually I will add those into the Complete Method Stock Swing Trading course. And this list will become a little bit more useful. So you can go to Stocks, and it's under Best Swing Trading Stocks. And this is going to be updated monthly. And you can just load these right into FinViz. So I have them preloaded. You just click on the list and they're preloaded for you. So you can go through, add in your own criteria, filter them how you like. So there's about 60 stocks that are really strong. And you can see just, these are awesome stocks for picking up and catching some 2, 3, 4, 5 day runs to the upside for some pretty nice gains. And the whole list is here. This is just a sample of some of the charts. A few of the criteria that I use. And the criteria are not in FinViz. I'm keeping these to myself for now. And but you can see the stocks in FinViz that I've loaded. And then I have a list of stocks that are very weak, and these would be ones you'd potentially look for when the market's weak, like it is right now, or potentially shorting if you're into shorting. And these are 3-month charts. If we were to zoom these out, a lot of these are much weaker than they look on these charts. So some of these look like they've actually been moving up, but if we were to scan out, this is just a short-term pullback and an otherwise bigger decline. Same with docs. So interesting ones for shorting. So this list, again, updated monthly, and it just provide our patterns may show up in these stocks as well. But right now we see most of them moving pretty vertically, or had been a few days ago when I made this list. So there's not going to be a ton of contraction patterns in there, but good for, pullbacks and moves back to the upside, those types of moves. So just something a little bit different if you are trading other strategies other than the ones currently covered in the Complete Method Stock Swing Trading course. All right, so I will leave it at that for now. Pretty quiet week. That means I'm not going to be taking any trades this week in terms of swing trades for cup and handles and contractions. But I'm really looking forward to seeing where this pullback goes. If we get the pullback, maybe stall out for a week, 2 weeks, a lot of these patterns are going to be looking fantastic. And it's going to give the market time to absorb that run higher that we had, shake out a few of the weak hands that weren't really convinced to this rally. And yeah, if we can get a contraction in the S&P 500 as well, that's just going to set up a whole ton of stocks that are going to look beautiful if we start moving back to the upside, which personally I think we will. My opinion doesn't matter to my trading, because if the market's healthy and we're getting breakouts, I'm buying. If the market's not healthy and we're breaking down, I'm not buying. So my opinion doesn't matter, but I do think after this rally we will continue higher. So if that occurs, I think we're going to have a lot more quality setups. So this pullback, a welcome sight for me, with not too many swing trades on the long side. I got a couple, but nothing too heavy. Just, the quality setups haven't been there in this vertical rise. So holding off, and so quiet week, and we'll see you next week.